Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. So for today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the worst doll packaging according to you guys. A while back, I did kind of the inverse video of this where I asked you guys what you thought was like the best doll packaging in terms of either it was really high quality or it was really beautiful or had like super nice art or it was super creative, that sort of thing. So I have a whole video where I talked about those responses from you. And now I asked you the opposite. I asked you which doll packaging you think is the worst, whether that's because you think it's ugly or kind of boring or whether it's difficult to get the doll out of the packaging. I just wanted to hear all of your thoughts, and y'all absolutely delivered. Thank you so much to everyone who responded here on YouTube and then also over on Instagram. I can't include everything in this video just because I did get so many responses that this would be like a very, very long video if I included literally everything. So it's nothing against you personally if I don't include like the packaging that you mentioned. I just got a lot of responses and I really, really do appreciate it. But yeah, so that's what we are going to be taking a look at today. I'm going to be looking at these boxes and kind of giving you my thoughts and reading out your thoughts. And hopefully we will just have a lovely time kind of talking trash about some doll packaging. Of course, anything I say is just going to be my opinion. It might differ from yours and that's totally chill. And I'd obviously love to hear what all of you guys think about these boxes and these packaging components in the comments down below. But yeah, other than that, if you enjoy yourself, if you could like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, I've got extra links and such in my description if you want to go out of your way to support me. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive on into it. One other thing really quickly, I know up here behind me, my shelves are still looking a little weird. There's like some junk up there instead of some dolls. We were going to put shelves up, but it's like become such a thing where it's like, oh, we have to keep doing this and this and this to get the shelves up. Then my husband decided he would go ahead and take the opportunity to paint this wall behind me an accent color. I know you don't see much of the wall, but that's what we're going to be doing hopefully this upcoming weekend. So of course, the videos that I'm filming, I'm still going to have nothingness behind me up there for a little bit. So sorry if it like looks messy. It really bothers me. It might not matter to you guys at all. But it's a work in progress. We're going to have like a nice fun project and hopefully it's going to look super, super cute by the time we're done. It's just, you know, he works and I need his help. So we're going on Tony's schedule and that's totally chill. So hopefully in the next coming weeks, it'll start looking nicer. But anyway, back to what we're supposed to be talking about. We are starting off with this one about Bratzillas. And the commenter said, it doesn't look bad, but I vaguely remember Bratzillas slicing up my hands so badly. I never bought any Bratzillas when they were coming out. I was like an ornery teenager. And so I was kind of like, Monster High is better. I don't want to buy Bratzillas. Now I'm like, oh yeah, they definitely had some really cute dolls, but I can't speak to this personally. Y'all will have to let me know if you have unboxed Bratzillas, if this is like a universal experience. I definitely know that some brands are worse. I feel like at having plastic that is sharper and more prone to like being a little dangerous. So totally possible. The packaging looks nice. Like aesthetically, I think it's pretty, but yeah, apparently not good for your hands, which is not super. The next one was the Off-White and Monster High packaging. I did get this a couple of times, and one of you guys was actually kind enough to message me on Instagram and like give a more detailed account of why you don't like this. And I totally get it now, like hearing that, because I already thought that this was just like not cute packaging. It looks like gray Swiss cheese to me, and I've been told that that's just kind of an Off-White thing, that this is like a pattern or a design that they do decently frequently. That's super. I still think it's ugly. But I was told by one of you guys that the quality is also not very good. Like the writing on the box where it says Off-White and Monster High is in like an acrylic plastic material, but the box itself is just kind of a cardboard, and the actual plastic that's like around the doll is super, super flimsy, which is not great considering these dolls were $150 US. So like they're pretty expensive dolls. Like, yeah, they're a designer collab, but they're pretty expensive dolls. And they are the kind of doll that like you are more likely to want to display with the box, because if you're spending $150, you want to get your money's worth, right? You know? So yeah, I've always thought that the boxes were not cute, but it was quite disheartening to hear from one of y'all that the quality is also not there, especially for the price point. So rip to that. I can't say that I'm shocked, but I am disappointed. Next up was the Disney Store Tangled series dolls. It wasn't bad necessarily, just incredibly boring. I never actually have seen these dolls up until I was looking them up for like this video. I saw the Tangled series and I did think it was a really, really cute series. The dolls are like fine. I don't love the style of the doll, but I was so unprepared for the packaging. Like, it's pretty bad. Like, I'll say that it's actually so bad. At least this one that I have a picture of here. Maybe some of the others weren't quite as terrible, but like, this is genuinely the most bare minimum packaging you could possibly do. Like, The doll itself inside, not my personal taste in terms of style, but it looks fine. Like the doll looks fine, but the packaging genuinely looks like a knockoff doll. Like this looks like something that you would find that's a very obvious knockoff on like AliExpress or Wish or something like that. I'm kind of appalled. Like it's so bad that it's at the point where I'm genuinely doubting myself. I'm like, is this the real packaging? Or did I accidentally find an image of a fake one? I'll do some more digging afterwards and I'll put an editing here if I was wrong. But if you don't see a note from editing me, this is the packaging. And it's like, yeah, okay, it's fine in the sense that it is a functional box. But wow, it's it's boring is a nice way to put it. Okay, editing note to say that I was halfway wrong. I did go ahead and like dig a little bit more and I found other boxes that were similar to what I had already shown you and what I was already reacting to. But I also found boxes like the one that you see on screen now. And this one I think is like significantly better. There's like art kind of in the same style as the TV series kind of around the box. So it's still not the most exciting thing ever, but especially compared to the last one we saw, I think this is actually quite cute and quite nice. So it seems like there was a decent variety in the packaging for the like TV series Tangled dolls. I'm not sure why that is. Some of it was real rough. Others, like this one, I feel like not so bad. So there's the slight caveat there. Okay, then we have anything where you can't see the doll is the worst. LOL was a big offender of this and the Monster High Skulltimate Secrets. And I do definitely understand this complaint. LOL doesn't really do this now, but like with their older lines, especially for OMG, like I know they still do it for like the little tots where like the tots are kind of a blind thing. But as far as their OMG dolls and like the tween dolls, you can see the doll's face. But it used to be the case that you couldn't. It was like you knew which doll you were getting based upon the art. But other than that, you were kind of just hoping that you would get one with a good printing, good face, good like quality and all of that jazz. And I definitely understand why that is frustrating, and definitely the same can be said for Monster High Skulltimate Secrets. I'm very biased towards Monster High, so like I don't want to dislike this packaging, especially because I do think it is cute and it does like hang on my wall. I have some hanging on my wall, so it's fun to me that it's like functional. It's a storage thing for me and I can like display it in a really interesting way. However, I do understand the fact of you can't see the doll still. So again, you have no idea if you're going to get a misprint. And that actually did happen to me when I got my Iridescent Cleo. Her eye was all messed up on one side and I had to very, very carefully repaint it so that it looked nice. Because it was like, yeah, I could have exchanged it, but there was no guarantee that I was going to be getting a doll that was any better. So to me, it was like, I'll just put in the effort. So yeah, I mean, as much as I never want to include Monster High on like a negative list, at the same time, it is true that any packaging where you can't see the doll's face is inherently going to be a bit more of a risk, and so therefore it's not necessarily ideal. Okay, next up we have one about the new operetta doll that just released on Mattel Creations, and it says she's not out yet, so I don't know if this is going to be the case, but I'm scared about Out of Fright operetta. The raised music notes in the box look cool, but they look like they're connected to the plastic keeping operetta in place, so I'm afraid unboxing her actually ruins the box. I'm an out-of-box collector, but I still keep some collector boxes in good condition, and if I'm right, I think that's a huge packaging flaw. This one is going to be interesting to see. Like, I'll be very curious to see unboxing videos of this operetta doll when she comes out, because it is really, really hard to tell from the stock photo whether this is going to be the case or not. I see what this person is talking about, where the like music notes behind her head might actually be like attached to the rest of her, and like you might end up having a hard time getting her out without messing up the box. And I do kind of get that. Like, the biggest example for me is like my Vampire Heart Draculaura. I always unbox my dolls because it's very important to me to be able to have a tactile experience, but I still have most of her box on her display because she was boxed in such a way that I could just kind of take the outer sleeve off and keep all of the really cool background components, and I can just display her that way. And even some other ones, like I have Lily Chang's box from Rainbow High, just because I think the art is really, really pretty, and like I just kind of keep that in a closet. Like I don't even see it, but it's just like I like to have it just in case I can put it up in a cool display at some point. So I do get what this commenter was talking about in terms of sometimes with collector dolls, especially because they are more expensive, you might want to keep the box even if you want to take the doll out. So yeah, I'll have to kind of keep that in mind for when these eventually ship out. I'm not sure when they're supposed to arrive, but I'm curious to see people unbox them now and see if that is going to be an issue. Next up, we have Nana Surprise. It's fun to open, but so much unnecessary plastic, and confetti makes a huge mess. Absolutely true. It's Nana is such a weird brand in general. Like, I have no idea ever what's going on with them, and they've kind of oscillated between blind box packaging to doing like open packaging where you can see the doll's face, back to blind box packaging. It's very strange, but especially their like earlier runs of their dolls came in completely blind packaging, so you didn't really know if you were going to get a nice one, and it was a lot of plastic, some of which was quite sharp, and there was like a whole confetti aspect where you would like blow up almost a balloon around the doll and it would like pop confetti everywhere, which is cute. And I think the first time I unboxed a Nana doll, I was like really taken by the experience because it is fun and like it's just an interesting thing. It's definitely very different. However, that was easily 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago at this point that I unboxed my first Nana doll. And I've vacuumed, like I've cleaned this entire room since then, but I'm still finding confetti. Like it just gets absolutely everywhere. There's no like nice way to open it. Even some of the newer ones that have also had confetti, I haven't unboxed in like a way that would let it out. Like I've tried to be very careful, but it still just like leaks out and goes everywhere. And so it's so hard because I can understand why for kids especially that would be fun to have that experience, but it definitely is a little wasteful and also such a nuisance to clean up. So I hardcore agree with this one. And then also mermaid high boxes were a nightmare to open. This is really funny because I unboxed one mermaid high doll ever and I genuinely don't remember what it was like. Like I honest to God, like I remember my thoughts on the doll specifically, but I have no idea what that unboxing process was like for me. But I got this comment a few times, like a few of y'all highlighted Mermaid High as being one that did not have packaging that was like easy to get into. So I'm just going to trust you on this one because I can't remember. But if a few of y'all are saying it, it's probably not just a one-off fluke. So just, another nail in the Mermaid High coffin, unfortunately. Okay, then we have the Bratz Kylie Jenner packaging. And frankly, I don't feel like I am capable of giving an unbiased opinion on this one because I just didn't like this release at all. I don't really like Kylie Jenner or the Kardashians in general. So this whole release was just a bad release for me. So of course I hate the packaging, but I'm so biased that I don't know if it's because the packaging is bad or if it's just because I hate the fact that it exists. But one of you guys said that this was not good packaging, so maybe it's not just me. Then we have the Rainbow High costume ball line. Not that it's ugly, but it's unnecessary and probably contributed to the price point. And I definitely do understand that. It's so hard because I genuinely think it is really pretty packaging, especially for a playline doll. Like a lot of the time you don't see packaging that has like the door that opens and then there's like the doll nicely displayed and there's the huge, huge art piece on the front. Like it is really pretty packaging. If I'm going just off of aesthetics, I would say that it's some of like the better packaging that I feel like comes to mind, at least from recent years. But absolutely, those dolls were violently overpriced. They are still overpriced where I am. I feel like on Instagram, I'll see people posting about them going on clearance finally, and they're like $10 or $15, which is a good deal. At my Walmarts, they're still like $27. And it's just like, I can't understand why. But yeah, they were very, very expensive dolls. Didn't think they were worth it whatsoever. I bought 2 of them because I loved the way that the dolls were designed, but even though I liked other ones, I couldn't bring myself to buy them because I just wasn't going to pay that much. And I definitely can see that if they hadn't spent so much on the packaging, the price probably would have been lower and more affordable to consumers. So as pretty as it is, ultimately, yeah, I would have rather had slightly less elaborate packaging and been able to afford more of the dolls. Okay, then we have the new Barbie Fashionista packaging is a step down from the zipper pouch packaging from a few waves ago. I actually thought about this. I'm so glad this came up because I was thinking about this in terms of this video. The Fashionistas have gone through a lot of different packaging over the years, but for a while they were doing like almost like a pencil case type of packaging where you would take the doll out and you still had this reusable pouch with like a zipper and everything, so you could store the doll in there, or like it could be a doll carrying case, or you could put other stuff in there, like pencils or whatever you might decide to use it for, which was so cool because obviously then you're getting a doll, but instead of just having like this plastic that is going to go in the trash, it's like you can use this for something. And now they've just reverted back from that. And now it's just like a much more basic plastic, not reusable box. And I don't know why. Like, I can only imagine it has something to do with budget. Like, it's probably much cheaper to do a plastic and cardboard box that's going to get thrown away than it is to do a reusable thing with a zipper. But that was such a fun thing for the Fashionistas to have that sort of packaging. So I definitely agree. It's sad to see them kind of turn back and go back to something worse. Okay, this one I couldn't find an image for, so I'm gonna like have to try to explain this as best I can. But on vintage Barbie's hair, that doubled plastic strip that is sewn together through the hair, when you try to pull the plastic apart, it just breaks because the plastic is so brittle. So one time I just gave up and pulled the hair out of it, and poof went the hair. Yeah, this is like something that I love and hate at the same time. I hope that you guys have had experience with this so that you can kind of understand what I'm talking about. It was definitely present on a lot of like older Barbies where it's two pieces of plastic that go on either side of the hair, kind of like sandwiching the hair in the middle. And then it is literally sewn together so that it's like all held tight. And I do think that this has been done on dolls more recently. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of any, but I feel like I've seen it somewhere more recently than like what this commenter is talking about and like what I remember, because I remember this most specifically from when I was a kid and like unboxing dolls as a child to play with. I definitely remember seeing that a lot. But now it's like it's such a toss up because I do think a lot of the problem is when you're unboxing an older doll, all of the plastic and stuff is going to be a little bit more fragile, and so it does make it significantly harder to get that out of the hair. But if you can get it right, you can like peel apart the two bits of plastic and rip it. And it can be so satisfying if it's done right and like if you can get a good grip on it. However, that's not always the case, even with newer dolls. Like, it's not always easy to do that. It's not something that I think is as common a practice nowadays, at least in like the doll lines that I'm super familiar with, to use that as a type of packaging. And I understand why. It's probably not like the most efficient and it can be really difficult to get out of the head. I don't know, I just have some nostalgia, and like the satisfaction level from getting it out nicely is so high that like for me it's almost worth it. But I completely understand why this person, and some of you guys also might experience this, don't like it at all, because it is an absolute pain. I just think it's really satisfying when you can get it done right. Next up, we have to talk about mermaids, which came up so often in the comments and in the responses. Apparently, I'm not alone in thinking that some of the mermaids packaging was kind of rough. This one says, a specific pain from the first wave mermaids unboxings. They're tied to the box with this papery string that you need to wiggle out of their waist joints, and it always takes such a long time. So yeah, that's just like one of a couple of complaints regarding the mermaids packaging. I feel like you can't tell from the picture that I'll put up on here at all. So if you haven't unboxed a mermaids doll, or you haven't like seen someone unbox one, you're probably not going to understand this. But where their like hips, like the human part meets the tail part, there was a, not like a twist tie proper, but like a very papery twist tie that wasn't just like around the waist like you might expect from doll packaging, but it literally went into the tail and like around, and it was so hard to get out. I bought Harmonique from wave one of mermaids, and I genuinely like didn't even successfully get mine all the way out. I just like managed to cut it off to where there was some paper still left inside the tail, but you couldn't see it for like display purposes. That's how bad it was. Like, it was so hard to get out. So definitely agree with that one. And then the other thing with wave one of the mermaids dolls that you can see from the picture I'll have on screen here, and if you might remember, like just from being around at that time, was the fact that the packaging was done in such a way that the tail was just out. Like the bottom half of the tail was not in any packaging at all. And that led to so many problems. The number one thing was like paint would be chipping off the tail. That was something that I saw a lot when I would see these dolls in stores. But then also, you know, they are in a kids aisle, like they're designed for kids. And sometimes kids in stores are going to get a little bit grabby, a little bit rough with the toys, or they might just get broken in packaging. So I also know that there was issues with the tail, like the fin part snapping off for people or being partially broken and that sort of thing. Overall, just not a super time with the first wave of mermaids packaging. I do think with the winter waves line that they did, lots of improvements. There wasn't that stupid little string in the hip joint, and the dolls were like fully enclosed. So they learned, but the first wave was rough. Okay, this one, all caps, Magic Mixie's Pixlings. I get it, okay? I really, truly, genuinely do. If you've seen my Magic Mixie's Pixlings unboxing videos, y'all know that I am shockingly a fan of the unboxing gimmick. I really didn't think I would care at all when I got my first one. Like, I thought I just wanted to get to the doll, but I kind of have a weird amount of fun. So like, I kind of like it, but also I absolutely understand where people are coming from with not liking the packaging, because first off, it is blind packaging. So again, you have the issue of you can't actually see the doll, and like you kind of just have to hope that you get one with a nice face and everything. And then also there is a lot of waste involved just because there's like a whole unboxing process with different liquids and stuff, and there's a lot of different plastic pouches. So of course, there is going to be some waste there. And then with the liquid and everything, it also can be a pretty messy process. And while I've only ever gotten like a little bit of the actual doll wet, it is possible if you put in too much water to actually get like water and stuff on your doll, which is not the most fun thing ever. So like, am I going to be a Magic Mixie's Pixlings defender until I die? Yes, because I think that the dolls themselves are beyond cute. But even I can acknowledge that the packaging is maybe not ideal all the time. Next up is the first series of Rainbow High boxes. So annoying to open. And I feel like I probably got this more than any other response. And I genuinely feel so vindicated hearing this. Because I started my channel opening Rainbow High dolls. Like that was the first video that I ever posted, was a Rainbow High unboxing. And back then, I thought I was just really bad at unboxing. And like, I am, okay? Like, I'll own up to that. I just don't do well with unboxing dolls. Like, I have to be very careful. And like, I can't do it neatly almost ever. But I had such a hard time unboxing the Rainbow High boxes. It was like hard to pull everything out, and like the plastic kept getting in the way. And it was a difficult time for me. And I kind of thought I was alone. But as it turns out, so many of you have the same complaint. We're specifically talking about, as you'll see in the picture, the like original style of packaging, where like there's a slightly rounded side with the doll, and then the extra clothing and accessories are in like separate little like chambers. Is that a good word for it? Apparently I'm not the only one who had a hard time getting everything open and nice. So like, I do think it was cute, because honestly it did kind of make the dolls look almost like a boutique display with the way that the extra accessories and the clothing was displayed on the side. Like visually I thought it was appealing, but it was kind of a pain to open, and I feel so happy knowing that I'm not by myself in that. All right, we have another complaint for LOLOMG. This one says, I just got the strawberry/fruit girl from the LOLOMG nail playset line, and extracting her from the box was like performing surgery that hates you. I scratched myself on the plastic multiple times. It has to be a nightmare for kids trying to open it to get their doll and all the fiddly little fake nails and stickers and things. I feel bad because like obviously this person says that they scratch themselves, and like that's not super, but that is so funny to put it like that, like performing surgery that hates you. Absolutely terrible. I haven't bought this, and I have no intention of buying this, but I can definitely see where this would be really difficult. There's a lot of very small pieces involved in the like nail play sets, because it's little fake nails for kids. Like of course there's going to be a lot of tiny pieces. So yeah, I can imagine this must absolutely be a pain to open, and I hope everyone else has better luck than this person did. I'm very sorry to you. This was another one that I got a few times, Disney ILY. It's cute, but it's horrible to open. A lot of other people specified, because there are like, because nothing can be simple. There are two lines of Disney IOI dolls. There's ones that are produced directly from Disney, and then there's ones by Jakks Pacific. And a lot of people specified that the Jakks Pacific ones were worse to open. I only have one from like the original lineup that I think was from Disney directly. And frankly, I don't remember what unboxing that was like either. But so many of you mentioned this, and again, specifically talking about the Jakks Pacifics ones, that I can only assume that it's true. Like, if so many of y'all are having this problem, it must be a pain, which is unfortunate, because like, even though I haven't personally bought anymore, I do think the aisle wide line is like a fun concept. I think it's a very interesting idea to have for a doll line. So it stinks that the packaging is like difficult to get through. All right, another one that I got a few times, Failfix, has particularly bad packaging that does a complete disservice to the doll. I think this is an incredibly like fascinating, almost case study would be a good word, of Failfix. Because like, yeah, if you look at the packaging, it's not super. I never ended up buying any of these dolls. They were coming out like right when I was starting to get back into collecting, and I just never ended up picking any of them up. I've heard good things about the dolls themselves, like once you get through the packaging and like the fixing process. Like I've heard that people really enjoy these dolls, but it is so hard because like on the one hand, I do think it's kind of a fun gimmick, and I can imagine why it would be fun for kids to kind of do this like makeover thing with the doll where they have to remove like the messy face mask and like fix all the hair that's all messed up and kind of transform their doll. And I think that that's a fun play aspect. However, she is packaged in a way where she is designed to look kind of as like bad, quote unquote, as possible in the box. And then there's just an image of what she's going to look like at the end. But I do think that that makes these dolls inherently a little bit less enticing on store shelves because you're looking at a doll and it's not displayed in like this super pretty way. And that's like the point. And I get that. But I do kind of wonder if, because these dolls aren't being made anymore, I wonder if that might have been part of what contributed to them not being able to continue on, is that maybe like people walking through the store shelves weren't looking at this long enough to see what the doll could become. They were just like, oh, that's not cute, and moving on. So I do think this is kind of a case of like an interesting concept, but the packaging maybe bit them in the butt a little bit. Okay, we're back to Monster High. I've got two complaints actually that I would personally like to add on here. One of which you guys agree with. So the one that I'm reading is the Monster High G3 packaging for the core dolls is so ugly. It's the one thing G3 lacks. I got so many comments about the G3 packaging. Definitely, I think Rainbow High was like one of the ones that had the most responses, but G3 also had tons of y'all saying that you don't like the packaging. And a lot of you mentioned the art specifically. And again, I feel so vindicated with this because if you saw my video where I talked about the best doll packaging, I was kind of comparing the art for G3 and then the art from Gen 1 of Monster High. And for me personally, I just think the Gen 1 art style was much more like thematic and unique to Monster High. The artist who does the art for G3 now, I don't think that they are a bad artist by any means. Like the art is pretty on the boxes. I'm not trying to discount that or say they're not talented or anything like that. However, I think it almost feels like too glamorous and almost a bit generic to me. And again, I'm not trying to be mean. That's just like my personal opinion. I feel like the Gen 1 art really was just a little bit stranger. It was very like angular, and I thought that it fit a lot better with the monster theme, whereas this art just seems a little bit too put together almost. And I think this artist has also done, I want to say, maybe for the Fierce line from OMG. I think that might be it. I know that they've done some other like art for other doll brands, and I think that it fits a lot better with those brands. But for Monster High specifically, it doesn't seem like synchronous to me. It doesn't feel like the doll, like the monstrous design of the doll and like the concept behind the brand fits with the art. I think the art is like a little too nice almost. So I went on like a whole thing about that in my best doll packaging video, and apparently a lot of y'all agree with me. So thank you for that. Again, like I love when my opinions are validated. As far as like the shape of the packaging, it is pretty generic. Like it's kind of whatever to me, but it was interesting to hear that like you guys kind of agreed with my thoughts on the art there. Teehee lost a little bit of footage, not a lot, so I'm just going to summarize real quick here. The way that I wanted to round out the video was with my personal little opinion as far as doll boxes go. None of y'all brought this up, but like, here I am giving my unsolicited opinion anyway, and that is the fact that I've noticed specifically with a lot of the Monster High collector dolls, they have less art on the boxes and more just photography. I have the Chucky and Tiffany box up on screen as kind of an example of this, where like, yeah, it's like stylized photography, and I'm not trying to knock photography, by the way. Like I fully understand that that is in and of itself an art form and like something you have to be talented to be able to do, but I kind of miss the fact that there used to be more art, like proper, like drawn art, I guess I should say, on doll boxes. And it's interesting to me that we seem to be getting a lot more photography lately. We used to get, like with Gen 1 Monster High, very stylized, like heavily artistic boxes with like customized art for the dolls on there. And now we're seeing a lot more that it's just like photography instead. And I think it's kind of interesting and a little bit sad to see it. Because like, while again, I can see why it might be nice, I really appreciate seeing nice art on doll boxes. Like, I think it's fun. Some of the art that I've liked the most, like I've even cut out from doll boxes, because even though I don't keep the boxes for the most part, like I'm an out of box collector, sometimes the art is just too nice to let go of. And it's something that I personally really enjoy about packaging, is when there's really pretty art on there. So for me, not as big a fan of the photography being as much of a thing, because like to me it's like, okay, I have the doll, I can see the doll, I want to see an artist rendition of the doll. But maybe that's just me. None of y'all brought that up. That's just me like throwing in my 2 cents there. So I guess let me know if you agree with that. If you don't, It's fine. I'm okay being alone with that one. But yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to round out the video with my own little hot take there. But that is all I have for y'all today. I'm not sure how long this was. I'm sorry if this was a bit of a long one, but I wanted to try to get through as many as I could just because, again, there were so many responses. So thank you all again for participating in this. As I said before, I'd love to hear your opinions on all of the packagings that we discussed today. And I hope you guys were able to enjoy the video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night or whatever it might be. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.